Hi, everybody. If you are a student in one of my courses, then probably you should already know me. But if you're watching this video because your instructor assigned it or because you stumbled across it on YouTube, then hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Carpenter. I teach English composition at sort of a small state school, and I also conduct research. I work primarily with digital communications and digital cultures, and sort of piggybacking on my research interests and the dissertation project that I completed earlier this year, so in February 2020. I also run a small consulting business on the side where I focus on digital communications and helping mostly marketing and PR clients figure out how to reach the audiences that they're after, right? Usually in terms of digital semiotics and how we can manipulate platforms, or like the technical abilities of a particular platform to make the most of them, right, in terms of communication. So that part of my consulting work, the manipulating the affordances, that's what they are called, the different functions that a platform offers. That's kind of like what I want to talk to you about today in terms of my teaching work, because it turns out that there's a nice little intersection here in terms of kind of my research on Tumblr led me to know that it could do these things, and consulting showed me, oh, I should teach clients that it can do these things. And then teaching reminded me that, oh, students can use the same things. So there's kind of a nice little intersection there for me. If you're in one of my courses and you're like, oh gosh, is she going to make us create a Tumblr page? No, I'm not. I want you to be aware of this note-taking technique that there's nothing magic about it, and probably someone somewhere has already been doing this, but I haven't seen anybody else trying it. So I just want you to have this kind of on your radar as one of the tools and note-taking strategies that you can use. I don't think there's any magical system that is perfect for taking notes and that always works for everybody. It's more a question of sort of try a bunch of things out, see what works for you. Sometimes it's going to depend on the length and scope of the project or the type of material that you need to take notes on. But it's always a good idea, in my opinion, to have several strategies at your fingertips that you can sort of mix and match depending on the research context and the situation in which you find yourself. So that's kind of where we're starting today. And I'm sorry, you can see on my laundry area. Just ignore that, okay? Just pretend that's not there. But so I guess the starting point is how do you even create a Tumblr account? They're free. The sort of downside, I guess, is you can only have one Tumblr account per email address, but you can have multiple side blogs or secondary blogs within that account. So I have an account, and the primary email address, you don't need to know, but the primary account name is Hyperglossia. So you can kind of imagine Glossia like a glossary and of terms, and hyper like hyperlinks. Yes, I was being very clever. Okay. But so that's my primary blog. And then I have all these side blogs that are related to different research interests, or they're related to my consulting work, or I also have a Tumblr that is dedicated to each course that I teach, right? So I organize those and post instructions for students, and I sort of combine infographics with sort of written information to sort of mix it up a little bit. Sometimes I drag and drop a video in there. It's not like this is the one perfect way of displaying content for students by any means, but I do think it gives me as an instructor and provides for my classes a little bit more flexibility, and sort of I can manipulate the layout a little bit more and integrate more types of media into a single post than I can within the existing structures of Canvas, which is the learning management system that my university is using. So I like to kind of put material for students, not something that's personal information or anything, but I'm not usually posting that kind of stuff anyway. I'm here's how you fix a run-on sentence, or these are instructions for your definition essays, or whatever, right? So I like to post that kind of content on Tumblr, and then put a link in the learning management system, which again in our case is Canvas, showing students where to go to find it. Okay, but one of the nice things about Tumblr that is kind of like where I want to point you guys, but I'll tell you how I use it, and then will tell you how the same function can be used to organize research notes. So on the course Tumblr, for example, for my English 112 courses, okay, and I'm actually teaching 2 sections, but they have like the same assignment instructions and stuff, so I just have one course Tumblr for them. If I were doing like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday Tumblr, if I were doing a Monday, Wednesday, Friday English 112 and a Tuesday, Thursday English 112, they would be on slightly different schedules, so I would probably have 2 different Tumblrs for them. But I teach 2 sections of English 112, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, back to back, and it's like, no, I don't need to, reinvent the wheel every time I post something. So they have their own Canvas sections, and I just post the same link to both of those, which is kind of a thing to know, like if you're trying to figure out like how many side blogs do I realistically need for different projects. It's going to depend on the scope of those projects and how much in tandem they run, right? Like if you've got 2 distinct projects, but they both relate to, I don't know, climate change in some way. Like they're for different classes, but they both relate to climate change, and you want to use Tumblr to organize your notes for both of them. I would probably put them on the same blog, even though they're for slightly different topics. And they go to different courses, and then I would like create a tag that says like which course that post is for. Okay. All right. So on the English 112 Tumblr that I have for my 2 courses that are English 112s and that are back to back, all that stuff, I have like some static pages, and you can create a static page in Tumblr easily, but that's not the point of this video. I have my static pages. I have a running list of posts. Of course, Tumblr always creates a default archive of all of your posts. It kind of shows up as a grid when you click archive. But one thing that is really nice, and that I sort of am trying to remind my students to use, is that I can also, and do also, create tagged pages. So tagged pages, or like pages with tags. I'm not sure how, like there's not a term, I don't think, for the specific thing, but I'll explain to you what it is. Okay, so you can create a new page in Tumblr and direct it to a URL. And in Tumblr, if you click on, like if you're inside viewing a particular blog, right, not on the Tumblr dashboard where you would see like all of the posts by all of the people you follow, but like on a blog page, and you click any given tag, what that pulls up is a separate page that is like whatever the address of the Tumblr is, /tagged/ whatever the tag is. It puts hyphens between words. If you create as a page, like if you create a separate page and like make the address that tagged whatever, then that is going to be a static page in the sense that it's always in, like the link always shows up in the same place on your homepage, but it's a continually refreshing page because every time that you tag something with whatever that tag that you picked was, the page itself will update and you'll have like a running list of stuff with that tag. So in the case of my 112 courses, one of the static tags that we have is definition arguments. And so everything that is about the definition arguments and how to draft them, how to create them, what the instructions were for the original one, how to revise them, how to thread them into the eventual research, actually, if you want to, all that stuff gets a tag that says definition arguments. And you don't have to go to the static page. Like clicking definition arguments anywhere inside that blog will take you to the definition arguments page. So whether you want to create a separate page that is always going to be there, continually refreshing a tag, probably depends on how often you're going to need to access just that particular tag. If it's a particular tag that you're going to need to use a lot, I would make a page for it and just let it keep updating. If it's something that you're only going to use like as you are formatting your sources or whatever, then probably don't bother. Just go to the first post that you can remember that has that tag, click the tag, and enjoy the results, right? But in terms of choosing tags, like, okay, we know how to create a page with our tags. We know that clicking a tag gives us a page with all of the posts that have that tag. How does this get us to research notes? Here's how. If you are conducting research, and let me see if I have like a piece of article around here somewhere. I probably do. I'm surrounded by them. I just don't know that they're things that, are worth putting up. Okay, here we go. This is from an early version of my dissertation, right? So that doesn't matter, but I'm just saying, like, there's a page number on it. And if this version had been published, which it was not, if this version had been published, then you could cite the page numbers, right? So let's say that this was a published document and you are reading it to conduct research on, this is about Tumblr and postmodernism, so there you go. You're taking good notes, you're highlighting things, maybe you write a key term in the margin, take a picture of the page, post it to your Tumblr, and tag it with the terms that you're gonna need it for when you come back to format your works cited. So I'm thinking, what's the first sentence here? Perhaps the great inspiration of modernity was the discovery of other people's pasts, the colonization not of time but of space. Global circumnavigation, geez, has substantially foreclosed that particular frontier. The distant is now the known. Okay, so like here we are. Yeah, that's the stuff. Carpenter Dis, page 230. The eventual version was like shorter than this, so like I got rid of a bunch. Anyway. So you take a picture with all your highlights, whatever, post it to your Tumblr, and you tag it with like Tumblr and postmodernism and let's see, exploration. Oh, cultural archives is kind of a key term in my project. So if you were reading through this, you would probably know by page 230 that that's a key term. So cultural archives, okay, you tag it all of those things. In Tumblr, you separate tags with a comma, and within a tag, any other punctuation goes. So inside a tag, you can have exclamation points, you can have question marks, you can have periods, you can have semicolons, you can have quotation marks. You just can't have a comma because that breaks the tag. Okay, I'm just saying. I don't capitalize in my Tumblr tags, like ever. You do you, okay? So you tag it, and then you're reading another article by someone else that has some of the same themes. So you tag it postmodernism and cultural archives, or you tag it Tumblr and young people's blogging, right? So it has some tags that are the same as this piece and some tags that are not the same because it's not exactly the same article, right? If you're using multiple pieces by the same author, I would tag like the author as well, so you can like see everything that that person said. But all right, so you can use that tagging function to cross-reference, okay? I think you can probably by now see how. You click postmodernism on your blog and it pulls up my piece and also another one that is on postmodernism but not on Tumblr. You open a separate browser tab and you click on Tumblr and you get my piece and then something else that's about Tumblr but not about postmodernism. And once you have done that a couple of times, you get a nice layout of the different ways that you can organize your pieces. Also, when you are like taking pictures of your sources and their notes, you can write captions alongside them. I also always include my notes on, like, you know, I write notes in the margin of my pages and I have those before I take a screenshot. Well, if you're on the computer, sure, a screenshot, but usually I'm working with like paper copies. So I always have like those little notes in the margins, but when I am saving my research notes, I also always add, you know, like paragraphs of thought, right? Like following up from the source, right? So while it's still fresh in my mind, I say what I thought about it. And it's all gathered right there, right? Like it's collected in one place. And be sure to write the page number, or, you know, like if it's not in the picture that you take, put the page number on your post somewhere so that you'll be able to easily go back and find the exact quote and the exact reference and see it in its context, right? That's important, not because like it's a rule, if you're a student in my class, but because as a practical matter, like you're gonna need to see it in context. Again, this is just like, these are like cues, right? To sort of jog your memory and show you where to go back to as you're working your way through the actual drafting process. And of course, you could also always type out the quote that you want to use, but I personally don't find that very engaging. I like to have already highlighted and sort of engaged with a paper copy before I take the picture and then, put it up with my commentary. The other one thing that I want to say about that is probably if you decide to try out this strategy for organizing your notes, you want to set the individual posts or the whole, like if it's a side block, you can set it to private. Either way, but like you probably want to set this material that you are posting to private, not because there's anything bad or wrong with it, but because your research notes are your intellectual property, right? Like they are your mind at work that we can see through the notes you've taken, we can kind of draw a constellation of your emerging thought process as we track through those posts. And if you don't just for whatever reason want to be super generous with the world at large, I think I would save them to private, particularly because you don't want somebody to plagiarize you and like copy your notes and post them or submit them somewhere before you actually get to turn in your paper, because then they'll show up online and it'll be like, turn it in, we'll send me a notice and say like, they copied, but they didn't copy, it was really yours. I think for now that is it. If you found my explanation of like how tags work and like where to find them confusing, or like or if you're having trouble visualizing like how to post a photo in Tumblr and then add your notes after it, you can send me a message. I'll be happy to help you out. If you're in my class, that is, because honestly, there's a limit to how much I'm willing to help like these strangers. But yeah. I hope that this helps you. If you are an educator, you can reach out via Facebook or via my consulting page, and we'll talk about strategies to help you. But this is mainly like for my students. I hope you understand it, and I hope you are enjoying your course Tumblr. Please do make use of the tags that are on the bottoms of your posts, because like everything that is an instruction says read the instructions. Everything that is about a cause and effect essay says cause and effect. I have really tried to make use of the tagging function in Tumblr to make it easy for you to find information or find the instructions or find everything that there is on our Tumblr about whatever the topic you might be looking up is, just so that it's easy for you to navigate, because like this course is probably hard in a lot of ways. Nobody is born knowing how to conduct library research. But it's not designed to be difficult just because you can't find the instructions or can't find the materials that you need to complete your projects, okay? That's all for today. If you have questions, let me know. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.